What's up? My name is Lane, and this is a Lane Brain podcast. So what's this podcast really about? Well, there's a lot of thoughts that travel through this mind, and it's time to share them with you. In the last year and a half, I've been hearing a lot of different stories from random people and how they got to where they are in life, and I started to hear a theme. That theme was based on victimhood, and that theme was based on the notion that their story was going to be their story that they told the rest of their lives as to why they're in the situation that they're in now, and what could be the rest of the story for the rest of their days. That, unfortunately, has been me for too long. There is so much more to life than just existing. Just existing is what I've done for nearly a decade now. And it's time to say, who gives a shit? And get back into podcasting, get back into meeting new people, and actually sharing with the world instead of recoiling from it. Honestly, the hardest part of this first episode is figuring out which version of myself to share with you people. Like most of you, I'm complicated. Life has been a trick. This podcast is for me and people like me or not like me. I'm hoping to talk to interesting folks. I'm definitely going to explore some wild ideas, so hold on for that. Some might be right up your alley. Some might seem right out in left field. Either way, stick around, because I promise I won't be the host who just sits and nods politely as the guest monologues. I've been there, I've done that. I've tried it. I regret every minute that I didn't speak my mind. This podcast is going to be about learning, challenging ideas, being curious, growing, not only for me, but also for you. I've got strong beliefs, but if you got logic and a point of view, I'll hear you out, because that's how we grow. That's how we learn. Being so steadfast in one's beliefs so as to shut out the viewpoint of another is not a willingness to understand one another. I thought that maybe I would focus this podcast and really get down to a certain niche. I've had people tell me that if I really want to gather an audience, then I need to get really specific on what this podcast is about. But the truth, I have too many interests, too many questions. I told myself I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it my way. No filters, no fluff, no fear. And I can't compare myself to others, other great podcasters like Sean Ryan, Joe Rogan, Jordan Peterson, the Haktua podcast. I can't compare myself to those and many others in this space because their success would make my start seem so dismal. But they are not me, and they don't have my struggles, nor do I have theirs. Self-improvement is going to be the best measurable gain that I will monitor here. And I hope that you bear witness to it all. I have a poor camera, nothing of a backdrop to speak of, and a decent audio mic. When I grow this, I will do so in a fashion that you will take part in it with me. I will be educating myself and you on a great many topics, and as the show grows and people share the show, people start to talk about it. I'm hoping that leads to more and interesting guests. Different ideas, different perspectives on people, how people think, the events that are happening in our world, and the gadgets and the processes that help us survive and navigate this world we live in. Some of these ideas may be way out there for some of you, but alternative thinking will hopefully lead to more critical thinking, and if I can create a new wrinkle in that rigid brain of yours, I've achieved my goal. I'm a problem solver. I've been a handyman, a maintenance man, a painter, lawn and landscaper, college-level instructor, a bartender, a bouncer, a 4-time factory worker, a cashier, a ship shopper, an Uber Eats delivery man. Yeah, you heard that right. I was also a personal trainer for 13 years. I know the psychological ways of man. I know the physiological ways of man. And I also think I've got a pretty good handle on the mind of a woman. I've been manipulated. I've been cheated on. I've been well off financially. I've been pretty well impoverished by the comparison to my well off days. I've been a jack of all trades. I prefer this quote though. Jack of all trades, master of none, but oftentimes better than the master of one. There's a wealth of experience that I bring to this podcast. Just for an average guy, you just have to ask the right questions to unlock what's behind these eyes. I am the man in the arena. That's a nod to Teddy Roosevelt. If you don't know the quote, it's worth hearing. It kind of sets the tone for this whole thing, and it says, "It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes up short again and again, because there is no effort without error or shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least he fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. Let that settle in for a minute. Whether you're a timid soul or a person who's been through the trenches yourself, I'm sure I have something for both individuals here. Not to get too quotey, but there's another one that I like. Nothing in life is worthwhile unless you take risks. There is no passion to be found playing small and settling for a life that is less than the one you're capable of living. Les Brown said it, Denzel made it famous, and I try to live it. I don't like to play small, or at least I didn't used to, but lately life's been trying to shrink me into that frickin' box. Bad decisions, bad timing, maybe some self-inflicted wounds have led me to where I am today. Over the last few years, that voice in my head has been getting louder. Think small, you're getting tired and old. Spend less, you're earning less. Bullshit. I jumped with no parachute into an entrepreneur life. If you've ever done it, you know that it's not all paintable sunsets and passive income streams. Sometimes it's just you sitting in your car wondering how you pay for gas to get to the next place that's supposed to make you money. I'm not going to lie, at my age, I don't have much in the way of savings. I jumped into an Amazon FBA wood chipper, and even following a course on how to navigate it, I landed flat on my face and holes in my pockets, so to speak. I poured money into a golf invention which was meant to help people and still is meant to help people with disabilities play the game. And although that dream is not dead, it has significantly stalled. Dreaming big is expensive, kids. Be prepared. What else? My wife and I co-hosted a podcast for a bit. You can still find those episodes entitled All the Things with Lane and Laney. We didn't make a dime, but I loved it. The people, the convos, the connection with my purpose, that's what pulled me back into what you're listening to today. I've since left the entrepreneur world and got back into working for someone else to make their dreams come true. It's working for now, but once you get a taste of running your own life and making your own schedule, it's really difficult to not be bitter every day that you have to report somewhere and can't leave until you're allowed to. I'm thankful for the work. Living hand to mouth, robbing Peter to Venmo Paul had run its course long ago. And since we're keeping it real, I've had those "why is my wife still with me" thoughts. But maybe it's because she still believes in me. Maybe it's because I haven't stopped believing in me either. Maybe it's because we both still believe in the life we've imagined. One where we don't have to pick between time or money. One where we get both. Have I been mad at the world? Sure. I've been pissed at the universe for years because it has continued to keep me from my true wants and desires. I would go so far as to say I've sworn in my prayers, frustrated to no end as to why a higher power would repeatedly beat me down for such a long stretch. But still I rise to take more. I have to admit that the choices made externally by my own mind, well, they are mine nonetheless. I've failed enough to not always know what's right, but I definitely know what I don't want. I don't want the 9-to-5 grind. I don't want one frickin' vacation week a year. A couple of sick days sprinkled in there. I don't want to beg for bonuses and handouts. I don't want to live in the tiny little box that schooling and education has trained us all for. I'm a husband and a dad, both of which are hard jobs, but when it's good, it's everything to me. I'm doing this podcast to entertain myself, to unburden myself from the ideas and notions that either trouble me or that I think could benefit any of you listening. If it's entertaining to you too, that's a win-win, because I love making people laugh and think and maybe even feel a little less alone. You're going to grow with me. You see my setup, you hear my voice. It's pretty well basic level podcasting. I want to grow to the fancy podcast table to host from. I want a cool backdrop, or hell, even a larger room devoted to, those who come and visit me that I can interview for this endeavor. But that will come. I like to get the multiple camera angle views so everyone can see who I'm interviewing, or at least another angle to observe my birthmark from or look up my nose holes. So come on in. let me allow you inside here. And maybe you can help me figure out everything that we have going on. If you'd like to join me on this podcast, reach out to me on Instagram at The Lane Brain, or on Facebook at The Lane Brain, or via email at thelanebrain, 2 E's, at gmail.com. Send me something fun and interesting. Show topics, questions, words of encouragement. This is a Lane Brain podcast, and I've got questions.